Hi everyone, you're welcome once again to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a very controversial topic. It's about payment terms and refund policy in the event industry. So let's talk. Hi, my name is Adesola Dada. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and all the good stuff. So let me bring this gist to you. So most people assume that payments should be 70-30 or 80-20, and that sounds fair. I mean, that is how it should be. But is it really? Because there are some people we'll call end-time clients, bad clients, who have abused this model, and they leave planners or even vendors unpaid for months, sometimes even years. I said because even I have been there. But the truth is, we also have bad vendors, right, who have also taken advantage of this, collecting full payment and not delivering. So the question is, where do we draw the line? So I'm going to be sharing real life experiences and the best payment structures for both planners and vendors in such a way that even the clients feel protected, right? And please, stick around right till the end, because I'm also going to be sharing a personal story of how I worked on a project for almost 2 years, and this client refused to pay me. It hurts, but again, it's fine. So let's talk. The traditional structure, ideally 70% upfront, 30% later, or 80% upfront, 20% later. Why do people expect a balanced payment model? We need to know. Because again, it sounds very logical to pay a vendor upfront and leave their balance until after delivery. This is how many industries work. In the corporate world, it's just the ideal thing. My problem with this model is that, like I said earlier, some bad clients take advantage of this model. Many clients have found loopholes, right? They'll just come up with something that is not even reasonable. Now, I'm not talking about the legit things. They just come up with something that is not reasonable. Or some people just even outrightly ghost you and not pay at all. Now, let me tell you my story. I was pregnant at this time. I got this job a long time ago. So I charged them 50K as a retainer fee, like, okay, let's just say that I'm coming on board. And they made this 50K, and then we started the work. I think COVID happened, we're still working. A lot of things just happened. But we planned this event for almost 2 years. I remember vividly because my son turned 1 on the wedding day, or a day after the wedding, right? So I did a lot of work on this job, and even the client saw it, because I'll probably just attach a screenshot here, because he kept saying how, oh, you guys did great work. I'll pay your money. And they did not pay that money till today as I speak, right? After working so hard. I had about 8 people work with me on that job, and I paid each and every single one of them. The money I paid and the money I spent on the job wasn't even up to what is 50K. And that really hurts. But I am just saying this so you understand why some persons would say, you have to pay me in full. So let's talk about why full payment, is justified for planners or vendors. Don't come for me. Events actually requires a lot of effort, time. You spend on logistics. So take, for example, a vendor would hire people up front. They'll probably have to rent some things. They would book down trucks, ahead of the big day. There are a lot of monetary aspects of things that needs to go into it. They'll probably even have to buy new stuff, right? Maybe they want to buy a new drip, they want to buy some more flowers. Some people have to rent those flowers and book them ahead of the big day. They want to keep down the people who would work with them on that job. So they need money to actually execute things fast, right? And then for planners, you're attending meetings, you're designing concept, probably hire a project manager who would work with you on the project. You're going for several meetings. You're speaking to these vendors, that you have hired. You're burning airtime. You're burning data because you are researching concepts. So they need money, right? So now, if you do all of these things and then they just pay you peanuts and they decide not to pay you in full, what happens to all the work, right? If a vendor, for example, doesn't get money in full, it leads to embarrassments. They probably say, oh, we couldn't do this because money wasn't paid. Those kind of things that it's unheard of. That is why it's okay if somebody says this is how they want to run their business. Because I'm a planner, I will still stay with 80-20%, right? However, that 20% should be paid to the planner. So the vendor is at rest that whatever the situation is, my money is with the planner. So you guys can now agree as the contract that you have signed to say, if you don't deliver, hoping that the planner is also a fair person, if you don't deliver on XYZ, we would revisit a refund, right? And we'll take it up from there. So these are just ways and measures that I think that, we can justify all of these full payments or 80-20% as the case may be. The other side why some clients fear full payments is, like I said earlier, there are also bad vendors. Some of them will collect full payments and they will disappear. Some of them will collect full payments and they will not deliver. And then when it's time to do the refund, you'll start hearing stories. And again, maybe one day I would have to sit with a lawyer to talk about, suing, because it's very soon. People say you sue them. And I'm like, why Nigeria, who wants to go through all those kind of stress and wahala on top how much? Because the money you probably spend on using police to arrest or even, getting to sue people might be more than what you paid for. But because I don't really have facts about this, about how these things work, it's just hearsay. I'll probably have to sit down with a lawyer one of these days. If you like that video, let me know in the comment section. Another reason why clients fear to pay, vendors in full is maybe a half-baked vendor, somebody who doesn't even know their job thoroughly. And that is why you should always do your due diligence before you hire somebody. Do all your checks as much as you can. Speak to the people that they've worked with before. Call the planners that they've worked with. People who would not be biased in their judgment, right? Call them. Go to events where they actually, delivered on. If you're not available, maybe you're an overseas client or you're not in the same country where they are working, send somebody that that is within that state to help you go and check. I know that these are some of the reasons why clients actually fear to pay vendors in full. I mean, they don't know you just like you also do not know them, So I wrote some things here, right, that I would like to share. Number one is how the clients protect themselves. And maybe even vendors can take a clue from this. Clients should do due diligence, just like I mentioned earlier. Research the vendor, check reviews, ask for referrals. Ensure that you sign a detailed contract, a very detailed contract, right? Ensure there is a clear agreement on all deliverables. This is what I'll provide. This is the color. This is what the fabric would look like. It would be smooth, be specific, right? To the T. Then talk about your payment milestones for high risk. So take, for example, I'm going to do a 50% upfront. I'll do a 40% at setup. I'll do a 10% immediately after and keep to it. But make sure that you have a detailed contract. Those are the ways that I know that you can protect yourself, right, on the job. And to be honest, not all vendors deserve full payments, right? But really, not all clients should be given that benefit of doubt. That's the honest truth. If we want to draw the line, that's what I can say. So somebody would ask me, what is now the best practices for a balanced payment system? So I also wrote this here. For planners and for vendors, demand full payment when necessary. If you feel like this is how I want to do my business, demand full payment, but offer to do a refund if you fail to deliver. Don't be a terrible human being. Offer to do a refund if you fail to deliver. And this is in a case where this is how you work and you're not flexible, and the client feels like they want to work with you. I feel like somebody who has a good track record, a client would not mind to do that. Like, I really want to use this person. I've heard good things about this person. If that's your system, then it's fine. But please, if something now happens and you don't deliver, do a refund. Compensate the client, right? And I also wrote here, for planners and vendors, have a structured refund policy. If a client has a valid complaint, there should be a discussion on compensation. Okay, I've talked about that. Also, for planners and vendors, work with clear contracts that protect both your clients and yourself. So I would say that for clients, be open to full payments if the vendor has a solid track record. Avoid last-minute bookings with vendors you don't trust. I don't see a reason why you should work with a vendor that you do not trust. But if you have a vendor last minute, like I said, that you don't trust, just avoid last minute bookings, to be honest. Then speak up early if something isn't going right. If you feel, I see some clients, they'll just be holding back. Don't hold back. You have paid for this service. So if you feel like something is not going right, you are not satisfied with something, instead of holding back and not talking, please feel free to speak up, right? Don't wait until after the event before you now start saying, "Oh, I sensed it, you're wearing something." Call for an urgent meeting. It's called an emergency meeting, right? So that's about it for this video. Let me know where you stand on this whole full payment issue. I'm not going to pay you in full. At the end of the day, it's business. Whatever works for both the client and the planner or vendor, they should go by. So if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, right? I'd love you to come back again and again and again. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye.